Okay, real quick, sorry about the crappy editing job and how long the last part was. And anyway, let's get right on to this because it's a big topic and I've got lots to say about it. So let's try to squeeze as much as we can. All right. So for one thing, there's a debate going on in the Borderline house where brother and sister started arguing over whether or not violence and other bad content in video games is affecting the youth of America and other countries. All right. Now, I have to agree with both of them when one of them says that it's the video game's fault that they have all this awful content in them, and I also have to agree with the other one who claims that video games aren't the only thing to blame in this situation. Now, what I think is that there are many types of games. There are games that can be played with your family and friends, and they can be played in a safe little happy environment, and kids can play too. There are E-games or E10 games or just YC games, which is young children. And those games are the ones that you can play with your kids around and stuff. Those are the games that won't scar your children. You've got T-rated games. T-rated games are a little worse, but they're not as bad. They're not half bad. I mean, there are good T-rated games that are unfairly rated, just because there's a bit of blood. Like in Tony Hawk, this game here, Tony Hawk Project 8. You have a bail thing where you fall off your skateboard and you bleed a bit, and so they're rated at T. It might also be because of like the themes of some of the levels and like the challenges, but it's otherwise not that bad, and I don't really see why they rated it T for any reason other than mild cussing and like violence, and there's not much violence. So now you've got the game that we have the problems with, and these are M-rated games. As you can see, this game looks different from the other ones. Why? Because it's awesome? Okay, now it sounds unfair saying this, but M-rated games are where it's at. And kids shouldn't play M-rated games. Not to say kids shouldn't have fun. Kids should have tons of fun playing video games. That's what it's for. It's for people of all ages, especially with the Wii nowadays. People playing fun video games as a group or by themselves, whatever. Now here's the thing, is that some games deserve the M rating, like Fallout, Prototype, Grand Theft Auto, Resident Evil, Gears of War, games like that. They deserve the M rating because they're just awful. Serious, there's blood everywhere, there's swearing all over the place, there's like sexual themes laden throughout the entire game. And when you go online with them, oh gosh, the things I've heard, the things I've witnessed done to dead bodies in these games online. Oh, it's unimaginable what someone in real life was thinking when they came up with doing this stuff. Alright, now there are games that don't deserve all this, games that shouldn't be rated M. Or at least not rated in the same category as Grand Theft Auto and whatnot. What I just named should be rated M because they're very bad. They have tons and tons of crap all throughout that makes them just unenjoyable to play when there are younger people around. And children who play those games are heavily spoiled by their parents, who are to blame in these situations because GameStop, which is probably the #1 provider of video games in America right now, aside from getting them off the internet on like Amazon or eBay, GameStop cards people to buy M-rated games. That means that if you're a kid, you can't buy these games with all this bad content. That means that the only person able to are the parents or the legal guardians, or just adults in general. That means that it's not the kid's fault and it's not the video game's fault, contrary to both Borderline Grimm sibling sides' arguments. It is in fact the adult's fault. People should play video games. People can play video games because, well, they're free to. There are places where you can buy video games that are rated M that you don't have to be carded at. That said, sometimes you should draw a line. And if it's crossed, then you should take away the video games. I strongly suggest that parents watch what their kids play every once in a while. Ask them what they're playing, something like that. Or walk in and look at the box. And if it has a little M on the bottom corner here, take the game right out of the socket, right out of the console, or take the console, unplug it or something, turn it off. Don't let the kids play it, because these games are not for kids. They are rated M for mature. That's 17 or older. Okay, now buying it for your kids tells me one of two things. One, the parent thinks that the kid will like them better, or is kissing up to their kid, therefore spoiling them. Or two, the parent doesn't want the kid around and is getting them whatever they want, so the kid stays out of their hair, so they can do whatever the heck that they're doing with all their free time now, because this kid's online cussing at other people who bought the game because they're of legal age. That's another thing. Don't buy your kids Xbox Live things if they're 10, because you know that they're going to, if they don't have a game that already has it in it, they're going to hear so much stuff that should not be heard at such a young age. So just don't do it, okay? And that's why I blame parents, because they have the ability to stop half the stuff that's wrong with these kids, and they choose not to because they're spoiling their children. It's as simple as that. Hate me all you want, comment all you want on how crappy I am for saying this, but unless your children are prematurely adult-like, if your kids are semi-adults, like if you have a 16-year-old and he wants an M-rated game, I think that's fine. He's 16, he's 1 year away from being able to buy them himself. But don't get your 10-year-old M-rated games, because everyone else suffers, and so does that kid later on in life when he goes out thinking it's okay to shoot hookers because he can just respawn when the police capture him and he only has to pay $200. And then he can go back and buy his guns and do it again. And if he gets bored of it, he'll just turn off the game. That's not real life, and people should know that. So don't get your kids games that they can't handle, is basically what I'm saying there. Alright, now I said something about how it's fun to play M-rated games, and it is. It really is. I also said that games shouldn't be rated the same, similarly Grand Theft Auto compared to Modern Warfare, because Modern Warfare, as is plain in the title, is about warfare. Of course, kids have heard about warfare. Kids have probably seen warfare on the news, on TV, in books, in games, other games, not just this one. Games that are rated T have warfare in them, and other stuff like that. So to say that warfare is not a part of a child's life, unless they're Amish or something, it probably is. Drugs and alcohol references and sexual stuff, all this like sex stuff in video games, like Grand Theft Auto, there's a strip club. Where the heck do you think your kids are going to go when they're not doing missions about smuggling drugs? They're going to go to this virtual strip club and get virtual lap dances with all the money that they racked up from virtual heists and virtual illegal car races and virtual illegal smuggling missions, capping off somebody who ticked off a mobster. Stuff like that. It's just not good for kids, and they shouldn't be doing stuff like that. It's horrible. And when they go online and act like adults shouldn't be there because this is a kid's game, is especially ridiculous. Some games are not as bad as others, but it seems like kids get games like Grand Theft Auto because they think that they look cool and adult-like when they shoot hookers in the face. So you're actually to blame, parents. But kids, don't act like, oh, I told you, parents, because you're stupid too. If you have a parent that did this and you're watching this now, you're equally to blame. Unless you're like an adult, basically, in kid form. Like if you were mature, but you were younger, I could say that's okay, as long as you don't start mouthing off and getting a big attitude or whatever. Anyway, I'm running out of time. I don't want to do 3 videos in one day, so that's all I have to say for it right now. We'll continue this some other time if you want me to, but anyway, I got 15 seconds, so anyway, so I just don't like it, and I think that it's stupid. That's my view on the whole situation. Leave a comment below, tell me what you think.